As India celebrated its Republic Day on Saturday, January 26, 2001, a tremendous earthquake measuring 6.9 on the Richter scale struck Gujarat in the western part of the country. The quake's epicenter was near the town of Bhuj in the Kutch district, and the tremors were felt in Pakistan and as far away as Nepal. The death toll was as high as 1 lakh, and buildings in several areas were completely destroyed. Such incidents warn us that disasters, either natural, like the Bhuj earthquake, or man-made, like an epidemic, can strike us at any time. So, we should always be prepared to handle such situations. Disaster management prepares us to deal with such situations by preventing any calamity, minimizing the effects, and taking timely action for normalizing the situation. Disaster management is a chain of activities carried out before, during, and after the disaster occurs. To effectively deal with disaster in all its stages, disaster management is broken down into 4 important stages. These are advance preparation, relief to the victims, restoration of normalcy, and prevention plan for the future. Let's discuss each of these stages in detail. Making advance preparation involves educating the people about such occurrences and making adequate plans so that they are ready to manage the situation when disaster strikes. Government bodies, non-governmental organizations or NGOs, and the corporate sector play an important role in educating people and raising awareness among the community. An important part of advanced planning involves taking steps to lessen the impact of the disaster before it occurs. Therefore, it is very important to install a proper warning system so that everyone can be warned about the impending calamity in advance. While it is very difficult to predict natural disasters like the Bhuj earthquake, cyclones can be predicted with the use of modern technology like satellite tracking. One of the best-known examples of an effective early warning was the cyclone warning provided by the INSAT system during the cyclone in Andhra Pradesh in 1977. This warning helped to substantially reduce the loss of life and property. Another important part of this stage is the advanced preparation of lists of the materials and resources which may be required at that time. For example, mobile medical facilities, tents, rescue equipment, and so on. Once these plans are in place, the people should be trained to respond to the situation through mock drills, training, and practice. The next stage deals with bringing relief to the victims. Once a disaster strikes, rescuing people is the topmost priority. Therefore, trained teams should be deployed to trace affected people and rescue them. Regular updates on the rescue status should also be given to the relatives of the affected. Once the affected have been rescued, food, shelter, and medical help are the next requirement. For this, community kitchens and arrangements for proper tents and toilets should be made for the affected people. In the case of the Bhuj earthquake, rescue efforts started almost immediately. Search and rescue teams made up of 399 rescuers carrying heat-sensing equipment and 26 rescue dogs assisted in the search and rescue operation. With their concentrated efforts, more than 300 persons were rescued alive in the first 5 days. One of the most memorable moments was when 8-month-old Murtaza Ali was rescued by the Border Security Force personnel from under the ruins of his house after being buried alive for 81 hours. The injured were provided treatment in the mobile medical units, while the affected people were put up in thousands of tents supplied by international organizations like CARE. Various organizations set up community kitchens to provide food to these affected people. Did you know that one such kitchen served food to as many as 3,500 people per day? This community kitchen was set up in Adesar by a Mumbai-based organization called Jain Sasan. After rescue operations, the third stage starts: restoration of normalcy and rehabilitation. Communication services get most severely affected in these disasters. To achieve normalcy, these services are restored at the earliest, followed by the rehabilitation process. This involves helping the displaced people emotionally and economically. Often the victims of disasters suffer great mental trauma due to loss of loved ones. Such people are offered sympathy and the services of support groups to tide over the emotional issues. Apart from emotional support, economic support is also vital, as most of the affected lose almost everything, like their homes and valuables, during such disasters. For example, the Bhuj earthquake caused severe loss not only of human life, but also property. A large number of towns and villages in the district of Kutch suffered almost complete destruction, with homes, schools, hospitals, health centers, and public buildings flattened to the ground. In Ahmedabad, more than 70 high-rise residential buildings collapsed. To deal with such loss, the government set up the Gujarat Earthquake Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Project to rebuild the affected areas with the active participation of the local communities and help restore normalcy. Once normalcy has been restored, the last stage begins, making a prevention plan for the future. Depending on the type of disaster, various community awareness and education programs can be taken up to avoid future risks. For example, after a severe earthquake, areas of high risk are identified so as to prevent people from settling in those regions. Furthermore, buildings can be constructed in earthquake-proof areas that are designed to withstand the seismic shocks without getting damaged. In the case of the Bhuj earthquake, it was found that the towns in Gujarat that were most damaged, like Anjar, Bachau, Bhuj, and Gandhidham, were situated on fault lines. Strict building codes were enforced in such areas to ensure that the reconstructed buildings were earthquake and cyclone resistant. In this manner, disaster management prepares people to deal with disasters before, during, and after they occur.